This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk everything about business and marketing tips to help assist you in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's Partnership Coordinator. I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Jason Ciment from Get Visible. Hi, Jason. Did I pronounce your last name properly?
Yes, it's the hard stuff. That's what we say in my family.
Good. I'm so glad that you were able to be on this call today, Jason. But to break the ice a little bit and kind of get the ball rolling, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you are all about and what Get Visible is all about?
Sure. So I live in LA. I married 4 kids, and I was a CPA back in the early 90s. Then I went to law school. Thought I'd be an estate attorney. Turns out I hate deadlines and I hate paperwork. Those are some big glasses. And then
yeah, my mom says the same thing.
Right. I ended up starting a business out of law school, and I had to teach myself how to do online marketing because the business was an e-commerce business. We were selling magazine subscriptions to individuals and to companies. We ended up working with big companies like Nike and The Gap, all the talent agencies, many of the talent agencies in LA. And but I had to, Google was my client. They actually bought every magazine in our catalog for a bunch of years when they were first coming out to the market. And what ended up happening was in about 2005, one of my first employees called me up and said, "Hey, I think we should do a consulting gig together. You go get some clients and I'll do the SEO," because he had become really expert in search engine optimization as well as pay-per-click advertising. And so we put up a shingle and we started an agency. And within a week, we had 2 clients. And then we just grew. And then we hired our first person. And now we're up to 20 people. And we closed our office 3 years ago, almost, and went totally virtual, which was great. And he even never wanted to go virtual. He liked having an office. We had already moved from LA to Arizona, our main office. And all of a sudden, now it's 3 years later from doing that. And we have almost half our staff is overseas. And he sold his house and moved to Minneapolis, moved his whole family from the hot to the cold. So the world has very much changed since COVID. And it's like even us doing an interview right now. Like this just didn't exist pre-COVID in the same way. So,
yeah,
right? It's a very different world, and it's great. I mean, our productivity is better. People are happy they don't have to waste an hour driving in traffic to work to go to an office, and things are just much better. So what do we do as an agency? It took me 18 years to come up with our slogan of "Be Seen, Get Chosen." But the idea really is, as people, I was at an event last night and I had a shirt on with my logo and the name of the company, like, what a great brand. And it's very simple. We get people visible online. So that means either get them a better website, or someone will come to us with a website and they'll say, okay, I need traffic, I need rankings, I need leads, I need more business. So we have to figure out where their clients live online. Sometimes it's search engines, sometimes it's social media, where they're not looking for anything and they're looking for advice, or they're looking for their peers to tell them this is the lawyer to go to, or this is the best radio to buy, whatever it is, whatever product they're looking for. This is the best place to get a hair transplant. All depends. So, and sometimes it's pure advertising where you have to interrupt. I call advertising an interruption. You have to interrupt people, and it's sort of like Angry Elmo, if you've ever seen these TikTok videos.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like Angry Elmo, like, hey, did you drink your water?
They crack me up because he just basically says everything people are thinking that they're not allowed to say out loud. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it is. And so, and it's the voice, and then he has Elmo talking to himself as two different characters. So it's very funny. But that's sort of like advertising is, you know, you're walking around doing your thing, all of a sudden you get this ad in your face that's interrupting you. And if the ad is good and it matches something that is, if it tweaks you in the right way or piques your curiosity, then it works. So we spend a lot of time figuring out how to make those interruptions work. Right.
Yeah, it's true. You know those video game ads that you get when you're like on an app and then the pop-up ads come?
Yes, yes, yes.
I always get annoyed by them, but there's always like a couple that work because they actually let you play the game. And you know how like it's sometimes like you have to watch the ad for an X amount of time. And if I'm playing the game, I actually get invested. And then if I play it enough times, if I keep getting the same pop-up and I keep playing the game because I have to stay entertained while I'm waiting for the ad to finish, I
Right.
might download the game. And then I realize like, oh, this is pretty good marketing. Like,
Well,
yeah.
it's similar to going to a market, an outdoor market where they're selling all those like spices and teas, and they give you the let me pour you some tea, let me pour you some tea, and then they just sold you a bag of weeds for 20
Yeah.
bucks, you know, so that you can make tea out of.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. It's a similar experience, but I do agree that like if an interruption is done in a way where you're not immediately annoyed by it or you can get you know, you can sort of get over it quickly, it
right.
might work. Because if you're just like ad, get it out of my face, it's hard for you to like see any engagement from it.
One of the best sales jobs that ever happened to me, two. One of them was we were in Hawaii on our honeymoon and we had a massage. Well, separately. So we had a massage. And the guy was Hawaiian and he walked on my back with like a big pole, which was cool. That was part of the massage. But he says to me, I went for a hike in the mountains here in Honolulu and I picked these roots and things and I am giving it to you as a present. This is very special stuff and you should make tea out of this. And of course I booked a second massage, right? So like I felt very special because he gave me a whole BS story about these weeds and roots and whatever. It was horrible tea. I did make it. It was totally disgusting. But he at least made me believe that I was special enough that he had, you know, prepared this tea. That was one. But the other one was a guy, I once leased a domain for $50,000 for 3 months. It's a lot of money to just lease, not even buy a domain. And no matter how much I tried to negotiate, the guy would just tell me dirty stories or curse at me. And because he knew he was the only game in town, there was no other domain to lease. I needed that domain. And I ended up paying $65,000. I leased it twice. But, you know, there's one
Wow.
thing that I was going to say, there's one thing about opening a door with an advertisement, right? But there's another side of the equation, which is once you've got that person to click through to a website, you got to sell them.
You got to keep them there. Yeah. And then want them to buy the product.
Right.
So
And
it's
then you got to follow up with them because sometimes it takes 7 touch points up to 25 touch points to get somebody. So then you've got to have a cadence of communications to keep nurturing them. And that's where social media comes in, because once you have somebody in your ecosystem, you can keep fueling the funnel with more information that converts them to being more loyal to the brand, or it gives them a special offer, sort of like that bag of weeds and roots and stuff like that, to just, especially if you can personalize it, which is where LinkedIn, you could do a lot of that. I know I'm shifting a lot of channels, but I lead an omni-channel life. So LinkedIn is a great place for B2B side of what we do to nurture people, because you can now, especially with AI, you can customize messages to people on a one-to-one basis and make them feel like you really took a lot of time to get to know them, right?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I think like what's interesting is that we see B2C really prioritizing other social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, maybe Google Ads. Whereas with B2B, we do see, I think with B2B businesses, I do see a lot of Google Ads and SEO, but I see a lot of LinkedIn. Um, I've spoken to a lot of people who say that B2B, for B2B businesses, they really want to use LinkedIn.
Right. Well, that's where Penji has a lot of value because you can send communications to people and put in custom graphics, which
Yeah.
makes it even more tailored, right?
Yeah.
Especially obviously for blog posts, that's an easy win, but it's sort of interesting if there's a way to tailor a visual experience for people on an individual basis.
I think that's a very I've seen like marketing efforts like that happen. Off the top of my head, I think an experience that I've had where I think they almost got me to actually purchase this app. Um, it was with this one this thing about like, okay, so as I don't even believe in astrology. Like I'm not like, oh, like I'm an Aquarius, this is what this means, blah blah. But I guess like if I see something, I maybe will be willing to indulge it a little bit out of the fun. And there was this one time where I was kind of just reading my horoscope and they were like, we're going to give you a really accurate horoscope. So just answer this quiz. And they started making me answer like a quiz about who I was, my birthday, stuff like that to give me a more accurate horoscope.
Read. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it sort of directed me to a website where I could go and read it. And I clicked on it. I went to the website, and the website had like all of these other things about like the constellations, the stars, my birthstone. It was not just like my daily horoscope, it was a bunch of stuff. And then and then it moved on to like predictions, right? And the predictions were about my year. This was like a while back, so it was probably not for like 2025, but like for the year that was going to come up, what my year was going to look like. And then it had it like in buckets of like romantic life, professional life, friends and family, like all of these different things. But they were blocked. They had a paywall. Like all of like the tailored stuff was
Of course.
paywall. And they were like, if you want to get like the best horoscope, like if you want to get the best predictions and you want to know what you have to do in order to have the most successful year of your life, just like pay for our service. And I was like, I feel like once I got to the paying part, I backed out because I didn't really believe in it enough for me to be like, yeah, I want this. But I was surprised about the fact that I was curious enough to go through all of those steps and do all of those quizzes up until the point where it was in my cart. Like the only thing that I had to do was put in my credit card information, and then I would have purchased this app.
Right. So if they did a good enough job, they would have gotten your information to follow up with you and then entice you to see some FOMO
Yeah.
you're missing out on.
It
Right.
was very personalized because I feel like what really gripped me was the fact that it was about me. It was like my birthday, Daniela, or like not people from your age gap or people like you. It was like me specifically, which I think I was kind of surprised by it. And I think like with the way technology is going nowadays, like with AI and algorithms and like data, I think we're getting closer to being able to do very personalized marketing like that.
All right. So here's a question for Penji, which is your company. What have you seen shifted in your marketing strategy in the last 6 months?
I think for us, AI is definitely a huge player. I don't know if at Get Visible you guys have experimented the same thing. I think AI right now is probably the biggest thing. Like as a creative service, we do graphic design mostly, right? We have introduced video editing, but I think our bread and butter is graphic design. And AI is being impacted by sorry, I said it the wrong. Graphic design is being impacted by AI in a tremendous way. So it affects every industry. I would say that so like the way that you talk about the way that you use design and incorporate AI into your design is really important with customers. I
Right.
would also say that the content marketing strategy, like I think AI is a great tool to help you with coming up with ideas, getting rid of a blank slate. It can help you sort of proofread stuff. It can help you optimize work. It's still not replacing human, like the human touch, but it definitely has helped with that. How about you guys at Get Visible? How has that changed?
Well, one thing is that we're using AI, obviously, but I'm using it myself to push out content much faster than I could before. That is very, very specific. So they're lead magnet oriented, or they're reputational, or both. So if I can create a sort of a how-to guide for any very narrowly tailored niche, then I can go in there and I say, hey, let me give you this for free. Right? So, and it looks impressive. It's well written. I've spent a long time learning how to prompt AI to produce content that doesn't read like AI. So it reads, it sounds similar to my own sarcastic, ironic, self-deprecating way of doing things. So it's an art form, right? So I think prompting is like being an artist. You have to figure it's more like being a mechanic or an engineer. So
yeah, I think like on a personal level, AI has helped me with getting the ball rolling. That's how I said it before. It certainly, I think AI is still not in a place where you can completely rely on it because it still makes mistakes. It still goes a little bit cuckoo bananas sometimes, and it certainly does sort of it's very obvious when it's been AI made versus when there's a human there because of how it's structured or made, or
mine looks.
yeah.
And I got a question. So you reached out to me, and I knew we were a Penji customer, so it made it easier. But how did you build your list and do the outreach? Let's say for this, to create this whole podcast experience.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to disclose that in the middle of the podcast.
I don't mean the software. What I mean more is like, how did you identify the people that you wanted to be on the podcast?
Well, we essentially wanted, I think it's more about sort of targeting the right audience, right? So you have to think about who are going to be who's the people that are going to be listening to you, who are the people that are going to be talking about like talking about your podcast, interacting with it, and who are the type of people, what would they be interested in listening to, right? So it's a very basic question that you just got to ask yourself. So we are targeting people like our customers, right? So we want our business owners, we want entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, whether it's a content creator, people who work in marketing. We're obviously very involved with marketing. Graphic design is very, very intertwined with the marketing efforts of a company. We wanted people who wanted to learn more about marketing, how to optimize their businesses, business development. That's kind of what we wanted the podcast to be about. And we started to look for people who we thought could provide meaningful insight into those topics. And that's where agencies like yours come in, right? So we need people who can, give all of our listeners advice on marketing, on tips. I think we're living in such a fast-paced world that a lot of business owners can be sort of terrified of trying to figure out how to keep up with it, don't you think?
So here, I'll give you something for your listeners. Okay. So I wrote this book a bunch of years ago called Need More Clients.
Wow.
It's a how-to guide. I'm writing a new version now for the medical industry, for medical practices, called I Need More Patients. It's the same thing, but updated now. And it's crazy. I still get commissions from Amazon on people buying the book.
Really?
Yeah, because the book has evergreen strategies.
Oh, that's evergreen content.
Doing marketing. So the only difference between when I wrote it and AI is AI just enables you to do things faster and cheaper than doing it before, because now you don't have to pay someone to do it manually. They can do it with agents in AI. They can do it with ChatGPT type stuff. So you can just do more of the things that are already in the strategy guide. So if anybody who's listening wants a PDF version of the book and doesn't want to pay for it, then you can have them email me or get in contact with me on LinkedIn or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. I will be adding it to the description of the video so that anybody that is interested in your book can go in and find it. I'm curious to read it too. So I might take you up on that offer.
Right. So that's one thing I'd say. It's AI is wonderful. It's game changer in human history. And the question is just going to be how I
How
don't
we
want to say monetize it. It's more than monetize it. It's how,
how we
because
integrate it into our life, I guess.
yeah, well, it's more than that. As a society, how do we deal with the fact that it's going to annihilate a lot of jobs? So new jobs have to be created around this. And people say, oh, we've always had this with the technology. This is different. You never had technology that could not just do, but think,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
think
it's
like a lot of people have been concerned with that sort of like replacement of jobs. I think it's just a moment for people to sort of step it up. You know what I mean?
right,
You have to make yourself valuable because in the near future, very simple jobs could be replaced. Like the same way that when the Industrial Revolution came around in the 1800s, machines replaced a lot of human people doing jobs. AI is going to replace a lot of maybe low-level jobs, but I don't think it can fully replace it. I just think it's going to be changing the way that things happen, and it's up to everybody to either stay with the times or stay behind.
right. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. What other stuff you want to cover today?
Actually, I wanted to ask you about your book reviews and the food reviews that you do on Instagram. Beyond Get Visible, I know that you're very active on these platforms. Can you tell me how the hobby of doing this began? Can you tell me, like what do you enjoy doing it? How do you integrate it into your life? I'm assuming, like, I think anything like social media related requires some kind of level of marketing. Do you think that you find yourself unconsciously marketing your blog like this?
Nah, I created the Books and Food Instagram for, I mean, it's my personal thing for under my name, but it's essentially a place where I haven't posted in a while, but I was posting avidly uh, reviews of books, but I would find something that had a food connection to the book. And it would help me to remember a little bit about what the book is about because I read like 2 books a week and they all start blending together into my head. And I remember one of the best series that I ever read was called The Red Sparrow, and it was a movie that Jennifer, what the heck are her name?
Jennifer Lawrence. No? Yeah.
Right, she played the sparrow.
She went
So
to Russian spy or like an American spy in Russia. I don't remember which one.
yeah, that's exactly what it was. So she's a Russian spy and he's an American spy, and they fall in love. So over 3 books, but the books are all good. But at the end of every chapter was a recipe of something that was in the chapter. It was really cool thinking, mostly Russian food,
That's a
and
great.
it was just cool. But maybe around that time, maybe before, I just started taking pictures of foods that were in these chapters and in the books that I was reading, and I would do a book review, and I would also connect it to a food. It was just fun, and then people started emailing me or texting me to send me copies of their books to be reviewed. Like I could have grown it larger. Maybe I will. But right now my agency takes much more priority. So, but that's the answer. I read a lot. I read because I'm Sabbath observant, so I'm not using phones or computers or driving anywhere on Friday night to Saturday night. So I sleep a lot less than most people. So I'm up at 5 in the morning reading a book when everyone's sleeping. You
Oh
know,
my
I
gosh.
go to synagogue, and so I have just and also I unwind reading at night to go to sleep. So I read a lot.
That's very
TikTok,
cool.
TikTok affected me. I used to read more, but now I like watching TikTok. So I'm a little screwed. So I think
You
that's
on TikTok?
yeah, I love TikTok. Well, that's why I know about Angry Elmo. So
Yeah.
uh,
Angry Elmo is TikTok.
yeah, TikTok is a black hole. It's a total black hole. It knows me. It knows I want to see magic tricks. It knows I want to see hacks on how to use AI every day. Like I discovered today, you could use AI. You could use Google Earth to create your own drone footage.
No, yeah, I know. But TikTok is like, I think I was kind of like against it when it had just come out. And people were getting on it. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't know.
Right.
And then once I joined, because I was curious, it was like a black hole and I was just sucked into it. I loved it immediately.
Correct. So that's it. It's so to answer your question, the Instagram was a place to record for posterity books that I had read and then have fun with the food. I had created a website for it called 99bookreviews.com, but was too much effort. It was much easier to just put it on Instagram.
Yeah, because you have to like do upkeep for websites.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Jason, about you were able to sort of build a business from the ground up, essentially, right? I think we have within our listeners, we have a lot of people who are aspiring entrepreneurs for whether it's a marketing agency. I think there's a lot of different sort of niches that they would like to work with and industries. When you reflect on your journey and you think about all the stuff that you have been through, and I think you know you're a very experienced person, what insights do you think you can share with our listeners who are aspiring entrepreneurs and are maybe afraid to take that step?
I think it's very simple. One is, especially now, is pick a niche in two places. One is you pick a niche in terms of the clients that you want to go after, assuming that you're allowed to have clients that compete with each other in the same space. Like one of the problems for us is if I have a lawyer that does one thing, I can't get another lawyer who does the same practice in the same area. I have to look in a different city. So, but if you can sell the same thing to all the people that compete with each other and you become the industry standard, pick a niche. That's one thing. At the same point, pick a niche where you can develop a reputation as a go-to person within that community. Like you said, the world's very small. Or I think it was earlier today. The world is very small. And if you can, from a networking standpoint, and whether it's through Zoom stuff or in person, if you can get into a community and then create a community around yourself where you're a vocal leader, even like a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, then you create a larger likelihood of turning those friends and followers into either clients or referral sources. And so you just think like concentric circles. You start with the innermost circle, make your proof of concept, whatever it is you're selling. Could be your time, could be a product, and then rinse and repeat and extend the circle. And then when you feel that you've got enough movement and momentum in that first circle, launch another circle and pick another niche, right?
Yeah.
Launch an adjacent circle. I'm a shiny object person. Don't get too attracted to the shiny objects. Just remember the tortoise and the hare and just slow going. It's okay. You don't have to be jealous of everybody who's making their riches very quickly with internet money and stuff like that. You can just hustle and do the hard work and just keep doing it and stick with the plan. And that's what I would say. I'm not saying you can't try to fly high, but majority of people do not succeed that way. So yeah. I'd say I'm not even trying to be safer. I'm just saying more pragmatically, you're not walking into a casino when you're launching a business, right? You're not putting it all down on black or red. There are moves to take that are strategic. Surround yourself with people that are better than you and that inspire you.
I think that's so important, actually, that last one. I think a lot of business owners struggle with that.
Don't be the smartest person in the room, and don't hire the people that make you feel you're the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Don't hire people that are going to annoy you. I mean, don't do that, but
challenge yourself, right? I think that's like
surround yourself with people that you put on pedestals for different things, not necessarily just business. They can inspire you to be higher moral integrity, wake up in the morning and do exercise, or just wake up early in the morning and not sleep longer if you don't need it. Stop drinking coffee, whatever it is. Just you have to find the things that will improve your life. Like, I'm Jewish, so I have a rabbi I go to for advice, but not every Jewish person does that. But I'm not saying if you're Catholic, go get a priest, but go find someone that gives you access to a higher power, however you define it. Something that's outside as I learned as an accountant, the four corners of a sheet. Like, try to get outside your own box. So I think it's mentally healthy to do that also. And if you're mentally healthy, you'll do your work better too.
Yeah, I think like that's very important to just sort of allow yourself to expand your mind too. I think when you sort of get out of a vicious cycle of thinking in the same, I feel like as humans, we tend to have very tunnel visioned, be very tunnel visioned without even noticing it, even if we don't want to be. It's just human nature. I don't know. That's how, like, what I feel. It happens to people a lot. So getting out of that is always great.
Like I say, use the drugs to enjoy Santana. Like, you can hear the music much better, but don't use them to escape.
Yeah.
So you find your own path to escape, you know, the doldrums of daily life. You shouldn't need drugs for that. Drugs is fun as a social thing. It's fun to heighten extent your senses. Drinking, drugs, whatever you want, whatever you like, if you like that kind of stuff. But I think getting back to your audience, the key is surrounding yourself with the right people.
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great note to end on. Very inspiring, Jason. But before we end this podcast, I do want to give you the space to plug anything that you want to plug. We already told your viewers that if they want to read your book,
that's fine.
Hit you up.
I think one thing. Here's one thing which is cool, and it's good for you also. If you have if your viewers have a website that looks like a homeless dog, okay, they look pretty when you clean them up.
Yeah.
And we know dogs because my daughter's in vet school. So if they have a website that really deserves to be better, they should contact me, because there is a tax credit that's available for up to $5,000 for a website to get redone, a commercial website, not a personal one. So
Awesome.
that you can put into the preview for this thing. That's helpful.
Yeah, I will. I'll be adding it to this so that our viewers can go ahead and find you for that. If anybody has a website that is dog water, you know who you can hit up. And Jason, thank you so much for doing this. And everyone else, I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.